path to greatness is not always rosy. It will test your resilience, it will test your tenacity, it will test your grit. Thank you so much. My name is Emmanuel, and before I get started in what I have for you today, I like to stand on the existing protocol. Please permit me to stand on the existing protocol. Firstly, I'd like to say congratulations to all the matriculants. I'm very excited to witness your matriculation day today. I'm so excited to rejoice with you on your happy day. And more importantly, I'm excited to speak to you young people because I'm a young person. And that's because I have that firm belief that Africa would someday feed her people. And the version of Africa that will someday feed her people will rest on the shoulders of young people. Young people like you and I. Young people who begin to walk in synergy and not in silos. This is the kind of Africa we're going to build. But the truth is this, you can't build this Africa if you don't have value. You can't build this Africa if you've not acquired the required knowledge to be able to change things. In building Africa, you need to first of all start addressing problems in your communities, addressing problems in your societies, addressing problems in your immediate environment. And so what I've come to tell you today, I want to challenge you that in you is live greatness. There's greatness lying inside of you that all it needs to be activated is to commit yourself to trainings, commit yourself to personal development. When you look at the screen there, that is me on yellow moderating a session in the Young Africa Leaders Initiative organization. Like our people didn't rightly read out, it's an organization that was launched by the United States government during the time of the 44th President Barack Hussein Obama. The very idea of launching Young African Leaders Initiative is to build young African leaders that will begin to change the business space. Young African leaders that will begin to change how community development is being carried out, how community service is being carried out. Young leaders who would go to communities and rather than complaining, they will devise solutions, they will mobilize people, and they will deploy resources to solve those problems. To raise young leaders who will come with a different kind of leadership, transformational leadership and not transactional leadership in our political system. That was the essence of Young Africa Leaders Initiative. And so it's interesting. It's interesting to know that even in Delta State, there's Young Africa Leaders Initiative. Yes. Of all 36 states, there are about 28 states where the Young Africa Leaders Initiative have presence in. The idea is to ensure that we make out the best from our life here on earth. We have energy, guys. We have energy. There's so much energy that is embedded in young people. But the danger is if we don't harness this energy positively, channel it towards development, then it becomes an albatross around our neck. It would become, you see those energy being constructed to become, causing social vices and mayhem here and there. When you look at all of those certifications, working in Canada getting certifications from the United States, World Bank and all of that, those certifications were not just, I wasn't just trying to get qualifications or get certificates. It was because you need to know more to do more. You need to know better to do better. I congratulate you because you've taken the step to accept the admission in a global university that is educating luminary leaders. I was excited when the Vice Chancellor mentioned that it's not just Nigeria. I knew I was in the right place because I have passion for nations. I knew I was in the right place. I'm ready to talk to the right people. Admirables who are going to be trained maybe the next 4 to 5 years, and then you become luminary leaders. How many of you want to be luminary leaders? You don't want to drop in 200 level. You don't want to drop in 300 level. You need to commit to the process. You need to commit to personal development. Regardless of your background, regardless of where you're coming from. There is greatness in you that the world needs to see. The young man you see here today was once dumb. For the first 4 years of my life, I could not speak. I was dumb. And it was miserable. Like it was miserable for a newly wedded couple. The first child of a newly wedded couple, dumb. And so somehow in my age 5, I spoke supernaturally. But then I realized I wasn't just dumb here. I was also dumb here. In a class of 30, I'll go home with a report card and I have 30. I carried the class in my hand. I was so dumb. And my dad was intelligent. So he was asking me, where is it? Where is the blood? I don't understand. You should be like your father. I was that dumb. And then somehow the brain opened up supernaturally. And at age 8, my dad lost his job. At age 8, I knew it. At age 8, I realized that families could stay in a day and miss a meal. At age 8, I realized that kids could be sent back home. Like when they send me back home for not paying tuition fee, I'm wondering, it has never happened before. What's happening? Why can't you pay? That experience shaped me growing up. It shaped me growing up that I had so much empathy for underserved communities. And I want to make you see things in this lens. Because it is until you begin to have empathy for things, begin to have empathy for problems, that is the only way you can seek for knowledge that will give you the capacity to solve those problems. There is nothing you can achieve when you don't have the drive, when you don't have the passion. It shaped me. I started developing passion for underserved economies, developing passion for disadvantaged communities, and you're going to see that it led me to build a startup that was later recognized by Forbes magazine in 2020 during the pandemic, when people were wailing because it was unprecedented. It had never happened before. We built that startup, and Forbes magazine, in conjunction with an organization called Global Startup Ecosystem, they came to Nigeria to select 200 entrepreneurs that were building products, not just doing business. There's a difference between a businessman and an entrepreneur. A businessman just transacts for the purpose of exchange. An entrepreneur is looking at what value can I add more. So it's beyond just transacting. There is value addition to it. What was I doing that Forbes recognized me? I developed that passion so much so I began to go to communities. And I realized that communities, the reason why there's a rural-urban migration so high is because the communities are not productive. The commercial activity are very low. And I knew my life mission is access. Friends, if there's something I want to tell you today is that leave this hall having a life mission. And I trust you're going to find one at the end of my presentation. I realized that my life mission was access. As I came in here, I was just thinking, access to opportunities. How do I give young people access to opportunities? That was because I am a product of access. So when my dad lost his job, someone gave me access by giving me a scholarship. And I decided to say, I'm going to pay it forward. So when we started jetpass.com, it was to give small businesses access to markets. The lady here, Jemima, was selling a product called Air Dragon. What Air Dragon does is that it helps you inflate your tires without the help of a vulcanizer. And we realized she was selling so low, her patronage was so low, and we decided to say, you know what, we need to leverage technology. Leverage. Can someone say leverage? Leverage. You need to have something to leverage on. So if I didn't have the technological skill to help Jemima, I would have just been there, pitying her and maybe exchanging. I would solve that problem. We started to say, you know what, let's leverage technology. We built, sales funnel, built platforms, and in a week, she analyzed over 3 weeks, she analyzed 800,000 naira. And then when we tested it with a furniture maker, we saw that it was working. We started to build a platform called thejetpass.com so we can decentralize that opportunity. So everyone can have access. So when you begin, you solve one problem you have a weakness, you have the second weakness, you have a third weakness. That is how you become global. The businesses you celebrate today, the Facebook you use today, started in a dormitory. You need to start from where you are at the moment and start building before it becomes global. Because when you start building, you will of course attract resources. That was how we helped Jemima, and jetpass.com came to life and was finally recognized by folks. Now, the truth is this. It's important for you to understand that everywhere all over the world, young people have been. I want to charge you guys. You've gotten admission. That is very, very wonderful. But there's so much work to do. Do not relax to say, I'll just what education is going to give to you is going to open your mind to possibilities. And just in case maybe you have that mentality that education is calm, I want to correct that error. Education gives you that solid background. It gives you that possibilities to begin to see things with a new lens. You begin to see things with a new lens. Everywhere all over the world, young people are changing lives. Young people are influencing. Look at that girl, Amika George. Amika George was also 17 of age. Amika George influenced, oh my God, she influenced a policy in another country that she was not. She's an Indian origin. And she influenced the policy in the UK. She woke up one morning and just realized that, looked at the news and saw that girls were not going to school. In a month, girls would miss like 1 week, because they can't afford sanitary products and all of that. And then she realized how, period poverty and menstrual hygiene was becoming so low. And she said, you know what, I need to change. At 17, I asked myself, what was I doing at the age of 17? At 17, she was engaging journalists, engaging media professionals, engaging the House of Commons and the House of Lords, that we need to begin to offer menstrual products, sanitary products for free to those girls that are in the South communities. And for your information, Amika George was not, she was not part of, she wasn't a victim. She could afford it. She was from a well-to-do home. But that passion to see that the problem is solved. That passion not to see, you see a problem maybe in the dormitory in the school, and all you do is just complain. You don't devise a solution. I would have loved to share a solution that I devised when I was in NYC because of time I will not go into that story. It's a very long story. That was Amika George. And today, sanitary products are free for the less deserving in the UK because a girl in her 17 stood up and said, we can change this legally. She pursued that for 3 years. And that brings me to the next point, tenacity. So you might be charged up and said, you know what, I want to begin something. I want to learn cybersecurity. I'm a student in cybersecurity. I want to begin to see how we can get into, platforms, fellowship that is related to cybersecurity and all of that. And you realize that maybe after 1 month, 2 months, the passion dwindles, the energy dwindles. It's in your consistency that the greatness lies. If she had stopped at the first year or the second year, she wouldn't have realized that policy. She pressed on until the 3rd year. The government listened. And if that doesn't inspire you, how about Greta Thunberg, a Swedish girl at the age of 15, who led a climate process? We all know how climate change is beginning to, affect our world, how climate change is beginning to, contribute to environmental degradation and all of that. Amika George led and said she was even invited to COP27 United Nations to come and speak about what she knows about climate. It is time to begin to reduce carbon emissions. Our ozone layer is deteriorating. It is time to begin to reduce the emissions even in the developed economies. She led that process. I don't know how old you are, but you see, the best time to have started years back, another best time is now, in your 100 level. That when you are leaving the school, you are not just leaving the school with a certificate, you are leaving the school with a solution, with a product. You are leaving the school, with a partner who you met and you built a company. You're going to see an example. Is it about the men that built America? Young men just came up and built to the point they were lending to the nation. They were lending to the nation. So it's high time we begin to ask ourselves, what can we give to our nation? It's high time to begin to ask ourselves, how can I contribute to the GDP of this nation? How can I contribute to the health sector? I was looking at the programs and I was excited. Very wonderful programs, wonderful courses. How can I contribute, to the legal system? The men that built America, Vanderbilt, JP Morgan and Carnegie and all of that, they independently said we need to contribute to our nation. And today they are celebrated. But let's come back home. You know, we've heard about Anita George, heard about Greta Thunberg, heard about the men that built America. But how about these guys? How many of you know Paystack? Paystack, you've used Paystack before. Paystack is a company owned by two Nigerians. They were once seated as matriculants and they graduated. They met themselves in school. So association is very important. Who you associate with? I had when one of the professionals were talking about, you know, you would engage in courtesy and all of that. I mean, if at this point you still think of courtesy, you are not supposed to be here. You are not supposed to be here. Look at these boys met in school. They saw a problem, they saw a gap in the financial system. And they said, you know what, we need to develop a product. And they started building Paystack. They had a lot of rejections looking for funding. But later they started getting funding. The most respected and distinguished accelerator in the world called Y Combinator. They are part of their startups that they funded. And today Paystack has been bought by an Irish American company called Stripe for 200 million US dollars. These guys are global entrepreneurs. The very essence of coming to Admiralty University of Nigeria is not just to end up in a booster like the Vice Chancellor mentioned, but is to get to the stage of the world, become the Aminas in the UN, become your Kojiwalas in the WTO, influence, become the Akumi Adesina in AFDB, in the African Development Bank. Influence those systems, get to multilateral institutions, speak to issues, contribute to solutions. And that was how Paystack was born. Do we talk about Philippe Emmanuel? Sometimes I ask myself, what was he thinking? What was he thinking? In those days when they didn't have access to some of the technologies we have now, Philippe Emmanuel built the fastest computer. The fastest computer. A black brain with the same education that you're passing through. There is more, there is more. Friends, there is more. There is more to what you can achieve. And I know that if there are different sectors, some persons might want to go into the business space, you know, there are some other persons who want to go into community development, there are some other persons who want to influence the health sector, you know, you want to ensure that companies are not being violated in the internet via cyber security and all of that. There are also some other persons who want to be in the public space. Public management professionals who want to influence the political system. I want to tell you that you are not too young. At 33, you could see what, you know, Zip was doing. At 30, you could see what the world was doing. At 39, you could see what Obasanjo. At 24, Mbu was already a foreign minister. You are not too young. The right step, you've taken the right step by, you know, stepping into a university that will prepare you for the global stage. It's not all. I like the vision. The vision is global. I associate myself with things that has to do with, because don't worry, at the end of my slide you're going to see my confession. I will take it together. We are not too small. There is something in you that the world needs to see. There is something in you that the world needs to pay for. There is something in you that the world needs to appreciate. There is something in you that the world needs to stand and give ovation to. If that doesn't, how many of you know Moses? Do you know Moses? You should know Moses. Okay, if you don't know Moses, maybe they will get to tell you about Moses. Moses graduated from this university. Moses graduated from this university. Moses was invited by one of the distinguished monarchs in our nation. You knew of Ife. What was Moses doing? This was the same university you want to pass through. This is Moses. So excellent in cyber security, came out first class, built his cyber security club to train people in his order. That is the thing. When you need to become valuable first, build yourself, and then you can now place a system in place. You can create a system that can begin to create the people that can work in your order, people that will know the things you know. That is the way you can spread solutions. That is the way you can spread change. That is the way we can have a critical mass that think aright. If you are the only one that has the knowledge, you are not spreading it, you are not influencing people, you are not mobilizing to say gather people and influence their manner of thinking, then you are not a leader. Because a leader will first of all become, and then after becoming, he shows others the way. He's a trailblazer. He's a pathfinder. Moses is a pathfinder. He graduated from this university. This should motivate you. Here is a friend of mine called Sylvester James. Sylvester James, you see, I was with Sylvester James and he was telling me that, see, anytime I watch cartoons, I don't see what people are seeing. I'm seeing possibilities. Those things I look at fish, I'm seeing them in real life. I don't know what this guy was thinking, and he thought to himself that I can build a generator that runs on air and water. We went to the same school, but he was some level ahead of me. And by the way, I attended the Federal University of Petroleum Resources from Delta State. He saw the epileptic power system in the country. And just in case you don't know, over 92 million Nigerians don't have access to electricity. It's that bad. Our energy deficit is so huge. We have the capacity to generate over 12,000 megawatts and we can only dispatch 4,000 megawatts. This young man said, I need to find a solution that can address. I don't need to keep calling NEPA, PHCN. I can build a product. When he was presenting the idea, he had the idea years back, presenting the idea to professionals and all of that, because there's no use case. Nobody wanted to give him funding. Nobody wanted to take a risk on him. And as at then, I was the General Secretary of Nigerian Society of Engineers. It's not chemical engineering. Nigerian Society of Engineers. So I had to talk with my president to say, you know what, I think we should give this guy a try. And we took the risk. We met with our dean of students. I told him, see, we want to, because students pay dues, and out of those dues, we try to use it to get infrastructures in school, invest in innovation. I said, let's invest in this guy. And when we invested, we saw this innovation. It came live. A generator that runs with air and water. This is not on paper. It was created and we tested it. And he called it hydro-pneumatic generator. This is the production cycle. There is a process. There is a process. And you need to commit to the process. You see, you can't, in 200 level, you cannot, I believe the school will not offer you a certificate in 200 level. Will the school offer you? I don't think will the school offer in 200 level, will you get a certificate that you've graduated? Will you get it in 300 level? You need to complete, so you need to commit to the process. You need to commit to the process. And the path to greatness is not always rosy. It will test your resilience, it will test your tenacity, it will test your grit. It will test everything around you to ensure that you are deserving of that greatness. Greatness doesn't come on a platter of gold. Because you will now realize that as a great person, you need to begin to think global. You may start small, but you are going global. You may start small, but you are going global. Let me tell you a story. So in September 2019, I met a girl, Felicia by name. She is the second child in the family of 5. And she is 5 of age, 5 years old. I met her picking plastics. I was wondering, during school hours, why are you picking plastics? Her name is Felicia. She said she's picking plastics because she wants to help her parents pay her tuition fee. And I was pained. I was pained because this girl did not decide at age 5. She didn't decide to start going helter-skelter. She didn't decide to, commit to social vices. She wanted to help her parents, but the only way she could help was to pick plastics to sell to Kunu. How many of us know Kunu? Kunu? She sells those plastics to Kunu makers so that she can get the proceeds from those sales and then give to her parents so she can pay her tuition fee. I was paid. And as someone who is a mobilizer, because I move at the speed of thought, I said, you know what, I called a few friends and I said, I got a photographer. I said, we need to invade the community. The community is called Sokale. For those of us who know Abuja very well, it's called Sokale village. It's in Duse, Alhaji. Duse is in Buadina Council. We went to Sokale and identified 210 kids who were like Felicia. Some of them were either not in school, some of them were steadily in school, some of them were in school but they didn't have access to technology. I said, no, this is a problem. I wrote to UNICEF. It's thinking global, United Nations International Children Emergency Fund, thinking global. I wrote to UNICEF, and then I wrote to an organization called Young Leaders as Monitor Corners of the World, and they got interested. They got interested because they saw the connection between the kids who were not in school and social vices. Because what was happening was that young boys who were out of school were now being manipulated to join cult groups, and then making the community unbearable and inhabitable for the dwellers. And then we started addressing the problem. We gathered people together. We wrote to Young Leaders Assembly, and they were so interested to solve the problem. We wrote to UNICEF. Because we can't, I was not out of school because as I then had graduated, waiting to go for service. I was out of school. My siblings were also not out of school. But it is that zeal to see that I can commit to this process and solve this problem. Because if you are doing your bit in your own sector, you are doing your bit in your own space, you are doing your bit in your own sector. That is how we have a nation. The nation is as strong as the smallest unit. Is as strong as the family. Is as strong as the communities. Is as strong as the societies. Is as strong as the villages. When you are doing your own little bits, we make the society governable for those who are governing. You need to think global. And then that was how we need to access opportunities in the global space. Because we identified a local problem. We identified a local problem. I want to tell you, you will not end up in Ibusa. Ibusa, you will be referred to, oh, he's from Ibusa. You are standing somewhere in Switzerland and they say, he's from Ibusa. Yes. And he graduated from ADUN. He was once an admirable and now a luminary. A global. There is power trapped in you. You need to understand that young people, in Africa, 70% of Africa's population are made up of young people. In Nigeria, 60% of our population are made up of young people. If we were to form a nation as young people, we will be the 12th most populated country in the world. Think about that. If we were to form a nation, if we were to occupy a region in Africa, we will be more populated than the entire Southern Africa. If we were to be a continent, we will be the 6th most populated continent in the world, just after South America. We are that powerful. We are that great. There's a lot to do in collaboration. How do you begin to collaborate with your peers? How do you begin to collaborate with people around you to solve problems? Guys, there's this thing I'm thinking of, because iron sharpened iron. There's this thing I'm thinking of. I see this problem in the power sector. I see this problem in the health sector. There's this problem I see. I think we can solve. There's this, and you begin to research. I want to see that. I want to see spin-offs from university. Spin-offs. So when I mean spin-offs, I mean innovations. That you are graduating and you are graduating with one invention, one innovation, one business. There is something attached to the certificate that you're coming up with. It shows that you committed to the process. You committed to the process. I want to ask you a question. Have a deep introspection. What will you do with this power? Just have that introspection. There is power in me. I mean, you are not even ordinary to be here. It's not everybody that can get this up. So you are here, it means there is something about you that is a bit different from others. And there is more if I can commit to the process. What can I do with the power? What can I do with the numbers? What can I do with this education? What will I do with this education? Think about it for a moment. When I leave ADUN, what will I be remembered for? Think about it for a moment. What sector do I want to influence? Do I want to live like I never existed? Do I want to change societies? Do I want to influence policies? Just in case you don't have any answer to this question, we will come back to it. And then I think possibly you might have answer to it. In 2015, 193 nations came together in New York, called together by the United Nations, and they said, you know what, it's time to address poverty. It's time to address some of the problems we have, in the world that the MDGs could not solve. So then we had what they call MDGs, the Millennium Development Goals. That was immediately we entered the millennial era. The United Nations came together and they came about the MDGs. The MDGs ended in 2015, and they realized that there were so many problems that the MDGs could not cover. These were nations. These were nations that came together. And they said, okay, in 2015, let's enact the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And they brought 193 nations, and they were brainstorming. They wanted to make it very global, because the MDGs was concentrated on just the global south. So global south means, economies that are living like underdeveloped and developing economies. So they said, we need to make this one comprehensive and holistic, all-encompassing. Both the developed economies, the developing and the underdeveloped economies, and they were looking at the goals. And this is how the goals came about. You can pick one of these goals. This is how you go global. See, if you want to, let me tell you a secret. If you want to address a problem, if you want to build a product and you know that you don't want to just end in Delta, you need to find a way to see how it relates. And there is no how it must relate. Even the things I do, I know the goals I'm pursuing here. So when I stand in the global audience, I'm telling them this is the goals that I'm pursuing, because I want to contribute to the actualization of this goal. Can we say after me? What's goal one there? I can't hear you. Goal 2, goal 3, goal 4, goal 5, goal 6, goal 7, goal 8, goal 9, goal 10, goal 11, goal 12, goal 13, goal 14, goal 15, goal 16, and goal 17. This is holistic. You can find some goals here and pitch your tent in it. These goals are very holistic, and the truth is this: if you don't begin now, there will be a problem, because you don't have time anymore. You could see what kids were doing at 17, doing at 15. These goals are holistic. I won't want to explain more goals because we don't have time anymore, right? You will see me there, speaking to communities. I'm that engaged in communities, speaking to women who were doing businesses. It was then and I realized that they didn't have access to market. You must be a mover. It was not very comfortable for me to do this. In fact, while I was doing this, let me tell you the truth. While I was doing this, I had no job then. Though I had a skill that I kind of deployed the skill only because I learned web development. So it's only when I get a web development gig, I will do the web development and then get paid for it. But then it was not like maybe I was comfortable. I wasn't comfortable, but even in my own discomfort, I went ahead to say, we need to address the problem. Went to communities. Nobody was paying me. You need to take your act beyond, what will I get out of it, and begin to address problem, because in addressing that problem, every other thing will draw closer. The resources, the payment, and every other thing will come close. I was doing it without payment, but later on, I got the interest of the United States. But they didn't send me. But it was a zeal. It was that passion. Go back to your communities. What can I change? What is not going well? Look at your school. Is there something I can leverage from the education I'm getting? Can I build a solution, build a product? This is another global team. When you look there, you see the goals we are addressing. We are addressing goal 4, quality education. Goal 8, decent work and economic growth. Goal 9, industry, infrastructure and innovation. And then goal 10, reduce inequalities. We want to address income inequality. And the way we want to do it is by giving access to opportunities. If you recall vividly, I had mentioned that my life mission is to give access. In JetPass, we are giving access to markets. In Endeavor Global, we are giving access to opportunities. The young people, you want to see a situation where you can sit right here in Busa and you're getting gigs from the Northern America, getting gigs from European markets. That's what we're doing in Endeavor Global. Access opportunities reduce the failure rate of youth-led businesses. So you don't start a business and in the first, second year it fails. We've been able to do a lot of studies and analysis, and we realize that there are certain things that make businesses fail, and in addressing it, we can help the youth-led businesses to live longer than time. And then curating economic reforms, knowing that you can't build a business in isolation with government policies. You need to become an asset. Can you say to myself, I am an asset? You need to be an asset. You are an asset. In you lies greatness. You just need to activate it. It begins to manifest. Because it's when you commit yourself to the process, you will see it break forth. One of the things you need to do is to, first of all, you need to understand that your association matters. After identifying the life mission, you need to understand that your association matters. The kind of person you associate with, begin to see ways you can, get into global fellowships. There are certain networks you find yourself, it will change your manner of reasoning. When you get yourself into communities, of people from Philippines, people from the Indians and all of that, North America, you begin to realize that, you begin to see possibilities in partnerships. And you can get those people to come in and say, you know what, come and speak on my platform. Come and become a guest speaker. And that is how you grow. And that's how they can recommend you for opportunities. They will tell you, hey, Moses, I think there's this opportunity I think you can do for us. You don't worry, you don't need to come over there, do it, you get paid. You need to also fail forward. I want to tell you that in starting, it might not be very easy. But whatever you will start will test your resilience, it will test your grit. You need to understand that when it's getting tougher, you are almost there. Keep at it. Hold at it. Keep at it. You are almost there. Now, with the Sustainable Development Goals, I'd like you to think again. What will I do with this energy? What will I do with this power? What will I do with my education? What will I do with this number? It's that important. And I would like us to take this declaration. If you don't mind, if you want to stand, you can stand. I'd like us to take this declaration and say after me, I'm a wonder to my world. You see, when you are saying it, think about the weddings. Say it again, I'm a wonder to my world. I am the solution. My steps are ordered. I lead. I shape culture. I influence my generation. I will not tiptoe out of existence. I will not live like I never came. I am an asset. Thank you.
Admirables, did you get something out of that lecture? Come on, let's celebrate him one more time. I was waiting for the lecture to be delivered before I do what I'm going to do now, before I invite the special guest of honor. When I started, I wanted to give a special recognition to my wife, Mrs. Alice Omach, sitting there. ADUN. Thank you very much. Now, why did I leave it on this time? We were searching for the guest lecturer. The committee were back on the campus. I was in Abuja. And they kept sending me names. And we're saying, look, let's look further afield. Let's get somebody that I connect with the young ones. So one morning, she heard me lamenting and just beating my brain. I was searching everywhere I could find a name. And then this woman said, darling, I have heard about somebody. In my work and service to the Delta State government, because she was doing some training for young people as well. Somebody's name was mentioned to me, and I've been following him online. His lectures, his commitments, and she gave me the name of that person. That person is who we have today. Emmanuel. So I want to thank Mrs. Omaji for that inspiration. Thank you so much.